الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون تنزيل من رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. It appears I have big shoes to fill. I can't be as knowledgeable as a scholar yesterday, and I can't be as entertaining as what just preceded me. I don't know what to do. But alhamdulillah, it's the Quran. It will speak for itself. So, Maulana Yusuf yesterday started discussing some of the ajaib. لا تنقطع عجائبه, that there are some amazing things in the Quran. They will never finish, and the ulama will never be satisfied with it, and they will keep wanting more and more. The more they study it, the more they will enjoy it, the more they will get out of it. And I wanted to give a little glimpse of certain things that the ulama have mentioned for us that I think of as gems from the Quran. Now the thing is, if you go up to my 3-year-old and you give her a crystal in her hand, or you give her a diamond, it's the same thing. She can't tell the difference. And because she's not old enough to know the difference between a diamond and a crystal. The same way, when we're not knowledgeable and we don't have taqwa, all these things, they seem like, oh, so what? The same way that a crystal or a diamond in a child's hand, it doesn't make any difference. So what? What's the big deal? Why is this one worth $1 million and you call it a gem, and this one is just a crystal, a Swarovski crystal, or whatever it is? So Allah SWT allow us to see the beauty in the Quran. So there is a distinct thing that the ulama talk about, which is i'jaz al-Quran. How is the Quran miraculous? When the Quran is a mu'jiza, it's a miracle. We know that. We study that in Sunday school. We hear about it every day. But how is it a miracle exactly? Right? Is it because it talks about certain scientific facts that are amazing? Yes, there are some amazing scientific things in the Quran. But the miracle of the Quran is not scientific in nature. It's linguistic and rhetorical. It's balagha. It's precision. It's structure is what's amazing. And is what is miraculous. So I'm going to go over some of these things that the ulama have mentioned regarding the amazing precision and structure of the Quran. Inshallah. So as Sheikh Umar was mentioning, Allah SWT swears by the mawaqi' al-nujum. And I've mentioned this as well earlier. It seems to be like the theme of the talks, where it's talking about the structure of the Quran. Now, when people usually hear the word nujum, they think of stars. Right? But najm, as I mentioned earlier, can also mean installments. Najm, you buy something, najm, it means you buy it on installments. So, I pasted a quote from a tafsir over here about this ayah. وقال جماعة منهم ابن عباس النجوم نجوم القرآن ومواقعها أوقات نزولها وأخرج النسائي وابن جرير والحاكم وصححه البيهقي في الشعب عنه أنه قال أنزل القرآن في ليلة القدر من السماء العليا إلى السماء الدنيا جملة واحدة ثم فرق في السنين وفي لفظ ثم نزل من السماء الدنيا إلى الأرض نجوما. The verses of the Quran came down in installments. So Allah SWT is swearing by the placement of these ayat. The same way that the stars are beautifully placed and interconnected with each other, the ayat are beautifully placed and connected. وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And it's a great oath if you were to know. If we don't see the structure in it, that's something that we're missing out on. But there is a great structure in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by it. He's swearing by the places where these installments have fallen in the Mus'haf, in the Quran. It's beautiful. All this time, when I used to think Nujum is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swearing by the stars. Right? But there's another meaning. And it's so beautiful. You look up at the night sky, you might see this. It's beautiful, right? But do you see any structure in it? I don't. It's because I know nothing about stars. But if someone does know something about stars, they can start seeing beautiful patterns and horoscopes and buruj, constellations in the sky. Right? The stars have a pattern. And the Arabs were very familiar with this. They used to see this kind of a sky every night. There was very little scattered light. They used to see these beautiful patterns. They had names for them. Right? So let's talk about the amazing structure of the Quran. The Sahaba, they mentioned, or they kind of complained to the Prophet ﷺ that the Quran doesn't have a story in it. You know how the Bible and the Torah, they have stories, from start to finish? In the beginning there was this, and then this happens, it's kind of chronologically following through a logical conclusion to the end. The Quran isn't like that. Right? Usually it refers to fragments of stories here and there. وَفِي عَادٍ, and then it talks about a little bit of Ad and then it jumps to somewhere else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Yusuf. It's almost like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, we can do that too, You want it? Here you go. But even in Surah Yusuf, it reads like a sequential story. But actually it's got this beautiful ring structure. The first part corresponds with the last part. The second last part corresponds with the second part. Okay? For example, you look at A matches with A, the preface, the conclusion. Yusuf alayhi salam's dream is mentioned then in Surah Yusuf. Remember? This is Ahsan al-Qasas. At the end, it's talking about the fulfillment of Yusuf alayhi salam's dream. In the middle, there's some family drama. Right? The third thing, Uqtulu Yusuf, separation. And in the end, the family is reunited. They're separated, and at the end of the surah, they're reunited. Yusuf alayhi salam becomes a slave in Egypt. The story of Yusuf himself. This is like part D. Okay? And within D, there's like D1 corresponds with D1 dash. To be kind of mathematical about it. Right? And then D2 corresponds with D2 dash. One is, he resists Zulaykha's attempt to seduce him. Then he gets exonerated from those accusations. Right? So on and so forth. There's a beautiful ring structure in Surah Yusuf if we've never actually thought about it in that way. To us, it just seems like a sequential story. And this was published, in 2017. Like perhaps nobody even thought about this structure before 2017. At least it wasn't published. It wasn't discussed. لا تنقطع عجائبه. Its amazing qualities never cease. New things, amazing structures keep cropping up and people keep talking about it. There's even some parallelism within the story. Okay, so like in part C, the family drama. Yaqub alayhi salam is separated from Yusuf alayhi salam. The brothers plot against Yusuf. Okay? On the contrary, Yusuf alayhi salam, he plots against his brothers. كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. The brothers plead to take Yusuf. The brothers also plead to take Binyamin. The brothers lose Yusuf. They also lose Binyamin. They go back to Yaqub crying when they lost Yusuf. Right? And then they also go back crying to Yaqub when they lost Binyamin. They bring back Yusuf alayhi salam's shirt with fake blood. And then they bring back Yusuf alayhi salam's real shirt. اذهبوا بقميصي هذا. Beautiful. What happens in both cases? Yaqub alayhi salam says, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. It's a beautiful structure that is there, but we just never notice it maybe. In Ayatul Kursi, The greatest ayah of the greatest book. Amazing structure. Same ring structure I will mention. Okay? عن أبي بن كعب قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أبا المنذر أتدري أي آية من كتاب الله معك أعظم؟ قال قلت الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. قال فضرب في صدري وقال والله ليهنك العلم أبا المنذر. By Allah, Abu Munzir, rejoice in this knowledge. Now, if you look at, this is a page from the Mus'haf. You see those orange jeeps, those places where you can stop in the Quran? There are 9 of them. Okay? Actually, there's 8 of them, which makes 9 fragments. You can split them up, and you can analyze the structure that way. And I've done it on the PowerPoint for you guys to see. How does it start? Allahu la ilaha illa huwa Hayyul Qayyum. 2 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does it end? Wa huwa Aliyul Azim. So it corresponds. 2 names of Allah in the beginning, 2 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. He is not seized by slumber or sleep. Okay? If you look at the second last, wa la ya'uduhu hifdhuhuma. He is not tired by taking care or the upkeep of the heavens and the earth. Do you guys see the symmetry there? لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Who is it that can intercede? Then there's an exception made, except with his will. You look, وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ. They can encompass none of his knowledge except, and then there's an exception made. And then if you look at the one right in the middle, you see the part from the back corresponds with the part in the front, right? يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ. He knows what is behind it and what is in front. It's beautiful, right? SubhanAllah. Structured within an ayah. You've probably seen this one, but it's beautiful, so I just thought I'd mention it. Theories about the structure of the universe. There was a geocentric theory of the way the universe was. We thought the earth was at the center of the universe in the beginning. Then Copernicus proposed a heliocentric, which is that the sun is at the center of the universe. Right? And then his ideas were not accepted until a century later, Galileo and the telescope and all this other stuff. And then eventually by the 1680s, Newton says that, actually there's no precise center of the universe. It's actually kind of everything is moving in a way, with the sun at the center. Okay, and the sun itself is moving. What does the Quran say? وَالْقَمَرَ قَدَّرْنَاهُ مَنَازِلَ حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْعُرْجُونِ الْقَدِيمِ للشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر والليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. Each floats in its own orbit. Everything is moving. Everything is swimming in its own orbit. This is the palindrome. كل في فلك. You can see it? You can read it backwards and forwards. كل في فلك. It revolves around the ya. You can see it? Now, make it even more clear. What does this look like? The solar system, right? You just have to peel off the layers, right? SubhanAllah. Kullun fi, they're revolving around Mr. Ya. Why? Ya? Yasbahun. SubhanAllah. Kullun fi falakin yasbahun. Everything is swimming in its own orbit. Telling us the structure of the universe just by these few words. Miraculously chosen words. This is something very beautiful. I wish I had like a good body. I can have a few. I might call them that to recite. Okay, so Tajweed 101. Right? If you remember, in Tajweed we divide letters up into different categories. Like Hams, Jahr, right? So they also have these group of letters, Mudliqa, Okay, they flow from the mouth. Isla. Okay? Which are those letters? And you might have learned it like this. Farra min lub. Like this little mnemonic that you use to remember the fa, the ra. Okay, now look at the way I'm saying it. Fa, ra. It's smooth, flows. It's not very hard in the mouth. Whereas compared to j, da, right? These are hard letters. You have this sort of hardness in your mouth when you pronounce them. Okay? Whereas farra min lubbin, it just flows from the mouth. They're easy to pronounce. Okay? The two categories, ismat and islah. The Quran uses words with the appropriate category of letters based on the meaning. Okay? The ones that are easy, they have the meaning, but they accompany those verses that have ideas of ease and rahmah in them. Believe it or not. We'll give you an example of this. Okay? Surah Al-Rahman, the quintessential surah that you think of when you think of mercy, right? If you count the number of letters from Farra min Lubbin as a percentage in each ayah, the first ayah, Ar-Rahman, 2/3 of them are from Farra min Lubbin. Okay? Allama al-Quran, 2/3. Again, Khalaq al-Insan, 1/2. The letters are from Farra min Lubbin. Allamahu al-Bayan, 2/3. Once again. Okay? Alhamdulillah. Farra min Lubbin. Those letters occur, if you count overall in the surah, more than 50% of the time. Just those Farra min Lubbin. How many letters are these? 8? 6? Farra min Lubbin, 6 letters. Occur more than 50% of the time in the whole surah. It's not a coincidence. That's amazing. Only 6 letters comprise the whole surah, more than 50% of the letters in the surah. Now you compare this to another surah, Surah Muhammad, also known as Surah Al-Qital, because it talks about war and fighting. Listen. الذين كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله أضل أعمالهم. Sounds different, doesn't it? There's not a lot of flow in those letters. In fact, there's a dad in there. There's multiple. You have the sad in there. There's a ba in there. Those are huruf al-itba, the full mouth, hard to pronounce. There's a shadda on a dal in there. Right? Just the way it sounds harsher. Right? And it has a harsher meaning. Right? When you look at the harakat, they're also ranked in terms of difficulty. The fatha is the easiest. You just have to open your mouth. You open. Okay, the kasra, you kind of have to break your mouth. Kasra. E. And then the dhamma, you have to pucker. It's harder. And then the sukoon is considered the hardest one because you almost have to pronounce the letter twice when you pronounce the sukoon. Okay? Now if you look at the harakat that occur in each verse, Ar-Rahman, all fathas. Allama al-Quran, almost all fathas, one dhamma. Khalaq al-Insan, one kasra, all fathas. You can see it? Easier to pronounce, sounds smoother. Allamahu al-Bayan, only one dhamma. Now you look at the other ayah. الذين كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله أضل. It's a lot more complicated, a lot of more harakat in there, a lot more difficult to pronounce. The mads are also easy to pronounce. Where's the makhraj of the mads? Jawfafam, right? Air just flows through your mouth. It's easy to elongate it. You're saying just more breath going through your mouth. Okay? And then they're ranked. Wow is easier than ya and then alif. Air simply flows out of the mouth. Look at the endings of Surah Al-Rahman. All of them, they end with a mad. Has a soothing kind of feeling. And it ends with the noon at the end, which is also from Farra min Lubbin. And every other verse, فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. You see, the way it sounds, ban and soothing, soothing. You look at the letters in Surah Muhammad, hum, kum, hum, hum, kum. It's abrupt ending, not a mud ending. You see? So it's much more abrupt and it's much more harsher when you hear it. Rahman, it's easy on the ears, it's easy to recite. And it talks about something easy, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at Surah Muhammad, it talks about the opposite. Killing people, fighting people. And the letters and the words are chosen accordingly, subhanAllah. When we read Surah Rahman, we know it's soothing. Right? It's not just because of the meaning, it's also because of the way it sounds as well. They have a deep connection. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the words also easier to pronounce and also easier on the mouth and soothing to the ears. Placement of words. Ibrahim, so what I want to say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has very carefully chosen the ordering of the words in the Quran as well. There's a purpose behind when He changes the orders sometimes. Because sometimes you say there's repetition in the Quran. How come this is said again and again? But there's slight differences. Those differences, they have a very deep meaning behind them. It's not just, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to just switch it for some reason. No. There's a very deep reason and meaning behind it. Ibrahim, when he makes dua after building the Kaaba with his son Ismail, they make a series of duas which are recorded in the Quran. ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. 4 duties of this Rasul are mentioned. Number 1, يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب. Duty number 2, والحكمة. He should also teach them hikmah, as-sunnah. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. And the last thing, he should perform their tazkiyah. He should purify their hearts. Which is the theme of the retreat, mashallah. Later on, okay, so that was verse number 129. In verse 151 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون. Right? He mentions the prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent as a result of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But there's something shifted here. Something is out of order from the way Ibrahim alayhi salam asked for it. Those of eagle-eyed of you can maybe see it, but just in case, we'll just make it explicit. You see this? And the first thing he said, Yatlu alayhim ayatik. The response is, Yatlu alaykum ayatina. Now, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ gets shifted from spot number 4 to spot number 2. It's showing the importance of tazkiyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is shifting it up in the line. It's like if you're like a VIP, you go to the front of the line, right? That's the way it works. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to show the importance of tazkiyah, He made it muqaddam. He brought it ahead of the other 2. In other words, you have tazkiyah, then you can definitely benefit yu'allimukumul kitab and hikmah as well. If you have tazkiyah, if you purify yourself, the book will benefit you more. You'll be able to follow the sunnah as well. So this changing in the order is not a coincidence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just quote unquote forget that Ibrahim asked for it in this order, so let me mention it in this order. No. Right? He carefully chose to bring tazkiyah out in front. Divine precision in choice of words. What does it mean to be from a nation? Someone says like, I'm American, or I'm Palestinian, or I'm, Singaporean, or whatever it is. What does it mean to be from a nation? It means that your father is from amongst them. Okay? Try telling that to the immigration officer. It's like, I speak your language. I want a green card. I want a passport. I don't think so. Right? It means my father is from amongst you. Okay? For example, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ إِنَّكُمْ ظَلَمْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ بِاتِّخَاذِكُمُ الْعِجْلِ يَا قَوْمِ. Musa alayhi salam was from the Bani Israel. So when he's talking to the Bani Israel, what does he say? Ya qawmi, oh my nation. It's also endearment, right? The prophets, they say, Ya qawmi, my people. It's kind of very endearing to say, I'm one of you guys. Right? Listen to me. My beloved fellow countrymen, my beloved fellow clansmen, Ya qawmi. لقد أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه فقال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Ya qawmi. Ya qawmi again. Okay, Nuh alayhi salam, he was talking to his people. There is one prophet that never says Ya qawmi in the Quran. Who is it? Isa alayhi salam. وإذ قال عيسى ibn Maryam. He never says Ya qawmi. He says Ya bani Israel. وقال المسيح يا بني إسرائيل. Why? He didn't have a father. I'm not from you. My father is not from amongst you. Right? Divine precision in the choice of words. Right? Isa alayhi salam is basically telling them, I don't have a father. I am not from amongst you. I'm not from the Bani Israel in the way that people are from Bani Israel. You consider them considering the father's lineage. Subhanallah. Divine precision in attribution of Shu'aib alayhi salam. Surah Shu'ara, for the Hufaz amongst us, mentions this kind of a phrase many times. Kadhabat, and then a qawm. Right? A certain nation, they denied the messengers. Over and over again in Surah Shu'ara, it's a pattern. Right? And then at the end, وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الرَّحِيمُ. So if you look at it, and the Hufaz know this because it's a very big gotcha when you're doing your hifz. You keep making a mistake on this. Okay. The people of Nuh denied the messengers when their brother Nuh said to them, will you not fear Allah? إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ نُوحٌ أَلَا تَتَّقُونَ كَذَّبَتْ عَادٌ الْمُرْسَلِينَ إِذْ قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ هُودٌ أَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. See, when their brother Hud. كَذَّبَتْ ثَمُودُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ إذ قال لهم أخوهم صالح ألا تتقون كذبت قوم لوط المرسلين إذ قال لهم أخوهم لوط ألا تتقون. There's a pattern. Now look at this. In the same surah, كذب أصحاب الأيكة المرسلين. What's the next verse? إذ قال لهم. Is it أخوهم شعيب? Why? It's قال لهم شعيب. Was Shu'aib not their brother? Huh? In different verses, can anyone quote a verse where it says أخوهم شعيب? There are verses like that, aren't there? وَلِيَ مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. But why doesn't it say أخوهم شعيب over here? Interesting, right? It's not a mistake. Astaghfirullah. Right? It's not a mistake. وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. In another part it says وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the pattern now, I'm giving it away, refers to the name of the city, Madian, He calls him their brother. وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. When He refers to Ashabul Aykah, He does not call them their brother. Why? But what is Aykah? That's the question. Aykah is a tree that they used to worship. In other words, it's an attribution, it's making a nisbah towards shirk. Ashabul Aykah is like the people of, choose some Hindu idol like Ram or whatever, Shiva or Krishna or something, right? It's like the people of Ram, the people of Shiva. When their brother, the brother of the people of Shiva. No. Like, I don't want to make a connection between a prophet and the people of an idol. Does that make sense? So whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls them Ashabul Aika, it's Shu'aib. When He calls them from the people of Madian, Akhuhum Shu'aib. Beautiful. When there's the attribution towards shirk,
because he's from Midian.
yeah, he's from Madian. He is their brother. But when they're being referred to not as the people of the town, but they're being referred to as the people of an idol or of a tree that they used to worship. He's not your brother. He's not participating in that. He's got nothing to do with it. He's bari'um minha.
He's not in their brotherhood.
Yes, he's not in their brotherhood. Brotherhood is like you participate in gatherings yourself, and you're part of your clique, right? Subhanallah. Divine precision in choice of words. So remember, for the Hufad, you're trying to remember, is it akhuhum, akhahum? It's ashabul aika? Da. When it's Madian, he's their brother. Subhanallah. Divine choice of passive versus active voice for adab. Okay, in English we have, and even in Arabic, is ma'ruf and majhul. Majhul, when you talk about fu'ila, for example, versus fa'ala. The doer of it is unknown, it's majhul. Or in English you say, Ahmed wrote a book. Is that passive voice or active voice? Active voice. A book was written. Passive voice. Who wrote it? I don't know. It's majhul. Okay. So the Quran uses the passive voice sometimes to show adab. Okay. So what is adab? It's one of the big gaps that you find amongst people these days, right? Lack of adab. So you go to Wikipedia and you look at what is the meaning of adab: refinement, good manners, morals, decorum, decency, humaneness. So as my teacher, Sheikh Hussein Damat Barakatuh, says, is that behavior that allows the maximization of the benefit through an interaction or relationship. That's what adab is. The behavior that you exhibit that allows the maximization of benefit through an interaction. Like if you have adab with your parents, it allows maximum barakah in that relationship. If you have adab with your teacher, it allows maximum benefit to flow from your teacher to you. Now, adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, as Sheikh Umar mentioned earlier, al-fa'il al-haqiqi, the true doer. He does everything in the universe. Every single thing, nothing, not even a leaf can drop without him knowing it and actually doing it, So everything that happens by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we don't attribute certain things to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of adab. Okay? We don't attribute negative things towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرِ إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. So in the Quran, when Ibrahim alayhi salam, his speech is being mentioned here, الَّذِي خَلَقَنِي فَهُوَ يَهْدِينِ وَالَّذِي هُوَ يُطْعِمُنِي وَيَسْقِينِ. He's describing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one that he worships. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. He doesn't say when Allah makes me sick. But actually, who makes you sick? Allah. We don't say that, right? Out of adab to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look at Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ. When I get sick, Ya Allah, anything bad that happens, I did it. That was my fault. When I get sick due to overeating or not wearing a mask or whatever it is, right? When I get sick, that's my fault. Okay, but He's the one that cures me. I don't say I cure myself or I go to the doctor, He cures me. No. Allah cures me. When I get sick, that's me. That was me. That was my bad. He's the one that restores me to health. There's adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of Ibrahim alayhi salam displayed in the ayah. In Surah Al-Jinn, وَأَنَّا لَا نَدْرِي أَشَرٌ أُرِيدَ بِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ أَرَادَ بِهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ رَشَدًا. Urida is what? Passive voice, right? Passive voice. And we do not know, therefore, whether evil is intended by who? It doesn't say, it's passive voice, right? For those on earth, or whether their Lord intends for them a right course. When talk about Rashad, when talk about being on the right track, is being attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When there's shar, talk about shar, urida, whether it's being intended. It's not saying arada rabbuhum sharran. No, no. Subhanallah. It's a beautiful choice in the word. This is, the beauty of balagha and, rhetoric. The way it's mentioned is appropriate based on who we're talking about. We're going to end with this one, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's amazing description of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا مبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. Okay, we have sent you at the end an illuminating lamp. Now, the Mufassirin, they discuss why is he likened to an illuminated lamp? Why not something brighter, like a shamsam munira, or qamaram munira? Why not? Right? It's a discussion. Why he chose a lamp? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose to describe him like an illuminated lamp? The answer is, what can a lamp do when it comes next to another lamp? It can transfer the flame. And what happens to the original lamp? Nothing. It doesn't decrease in its flame, right? It's beautiful. The iman, the flickering iman, the flame of iman that was in the Prophet ﷺ, he could transfer it. The Sahaba just came in his company. It transferred over, like how a lamp, you bring an unlit candle next to a lit candle, it transfers the flame over. Can a moon do that? Can a sun do that? Absolutely not. It's a beautiful description of the Prophet ﷺ, his ability to transfer the nur of iman to his Sahaba. But it also tells us that we should stay near people of iman. And inshallah, their iman will transfer to us just by virtue of being in their company, the good company, good suhbah.
Can I put an input?
Please.
He just came. The sun goes and the moon goes, but the siraj, as long as you're maintaining it, it's still gonna be giving light.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Just thought about it right now.
Ilham.
The sun goes and the moon goes, but the siraj, as long as you're maintaining it, it's still gonna give light.
Yeah. Subhanallah. Yeah. There are so many different beautiful gems in the Quran. When you're looking carefully, or you have some of the ulama to extract them for you and to point them out. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be able to do this ourselves, to perceive them and to enjoy them. The same way that a child cannot enjoy the difference between a diamond and a crystal, I hope we can also become mature that we can enjoy the difference between, Kalamullah and Kalamun Nas. Right? We spend so much time reading Kalamun Nas, and we seem to enjoy it. We spend money on it. We buy books. We read it. We read the news. We read so many different things. But Kalamullah is with us, but we don't enjoy it for some reason. Allah, may Allah Ta'ala allow us to see the beauty, see the gems in the Quran. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Allah, Allah, la ilaha illallah. Allah, 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 la ilaha illallah.